Hey, welcome back. So nice to see you again, and good job on making it so far in this series. Today, I would like to spend a bit more time on unit testing. I know you hate this subject, but bear with me. This one is going to be interesting and it's going to make your life a bit easier than it was before. So, today we're going to finally take a look at FakeXrmEasy. Now, many of you have already heard about FakeXrmEasy and were wondering why haven't I been using that in my videos before. The reason is that I wanted to show you that it is possible to make unit tests and actually test the plugins without any third-party tools, because I, as a developer, struggled with that, with kind of grasping the concepts of unit tests and mocks in general. And this was kind of a heavy machinery. Every time I wanted to write a test, I needed a whole bunch of third-party libraries. That's not the case, but third-party libraries certainly do make your life easier, and FakeXrmEasy is definitely an example of a very good library. Now, FakeXrmEasy is a kind of library that does practically everything that we've been doing so far manually. It has out of the box ready for you. So one of the things that it does is it emulates the iOrganization service. So when you run, it actually provides a method which returns iOrganization service, which we have mocked manually in the previous tutorial. And it actually executes the queries against your set of test records. You'll see what that means just in a second, but it basically emulates Dynamics, as if you ran a small local instance of Dynamics right within Visual Studio, and it just works. It's really good on that point, and it's also really good because it bundles all the remaining mocks, like plugin execution context, and I believe tracing service is included in there as well. Now, there is one thing with FakeXrmEasy. So it's actually a commercial product. So it's not, it's a third-party library, and I recently have been checking out Salesforce a bit, and I learned that there's this programming language called Apex, and the unit tests are kind of built in, and you cannot really push the code without making unit tests. So shame on you, Microsoft, for not doing that. But thank you, Jordi, who created this Dynamics value and FakeXrmEasy, for actually doing that. Because yeah, our lives would be much harder without it. But yeah, with any project, there needs to be maintenance. There needs to be anyway. So this is kind of an open source project, but it requires a license to use, at least with the newer versions. So there's version 1, which is entirely free, and this is what we're going to use in this tutorial. But there are versions 2 and 3 which have some benefits. But they're not as crucial for us in this series, so we're just gonna stick with this version 1. Now, keep in mind that version 1 is still pretty much fully functional, and it has basically all the features that you will be using, at least in my experience. It has provided with everything that I needed. But there's one annoying feature of version 1, which is this specific obsolete message, which makes your code a bit messy and a bit ugly. So there is a clear notification from the author that this FakeXrmEasy is deprecated. So they want you to upgrade to a paid version. Of course, that makes sense. But yeah, we'll still use version 1. Yeah, we'll just be fine with the obsolete messages. Now, if you want to use FakeXrmEasy, you'll need two things. First, you'll need early bound classes, which is what we created in the previous tutorial. So you're good if you follow that. And the next thing that you'll need is actually to install FakeXrmEasy, because it's a separate package. So just right-click on your test project and do Manage Nugget Packages. And now go to Browse and type in FakeXrmEasy. And don't be scared by the sheer amount of different versions. Whenever I'm developing new plugins and the plugins that run on Dynamics on the cloud, I just use this FakeXrmEasy 9 and it just works. So the rule of thumb is download the one with the most downloads. So I'll just download that, and you will be greeted by this friendly website, which you can just close. And that's okay. And then you can close that. And what I've done is I've already created one additional class. We'll be testing this contacts associate plugin again. So I've created another class and just named it FakeXrmEasy so that it's different from the one that we've been developing in the past. But what I'll do is I'll just copy this context associate test from the previous tests class. So we have this contact associate tests, and I'll go right to the bottom. I believe it's here at the top. So contacts associate test, I'll just copy that, and that we should be good to go. And I'll just replace this test method. And we have some work to do. So first, what I can do is just replace these entities with early bounds. So I'll just do, instead of new entity, I'll do new contact. And yeah, I believe that's good to go. And now instead of this email attribute, I can use email address 1 because that's the same name as here. And now I don't need this email attribute at all. I'll use it, I'll need it later, but yeah, let's wait with that. Now the next thing that I can do is replace this account ID with account entity reference. This is more of a personal preference, but I will do it anyway. So account ref equals new account, and I will do that and dot to entity reference. I don't know, it just looks nicer, and I'm very used to having these refs instead of GUIDs. It kind of ties the GUIDs to their entities. Anyway, the next thing that we can do is actually use the context from FakeXrmEasy. So at the moment we're using this mock plugin execution context, but what we can do is do var ctx equals new xrm faked plugin execution context. It's a bit longer name, but not to worry. And now instead of having to implement anything, so basically this thing has everything implemented already. So no bananas with this stuff. You can just for example access input parameters. So input parameters equals new parameter collection. And then inside here, we can add target. I'll just copy and paste that in here. And that's equal to our target. Perfect. I believe that's much better. So no additional classes needed. It is just provided for us. Now, the most brilliant thing about this particular video is replacing this service here. So this is where we will actually be using FakeXrmEasy. So let me just show you how to do that. So first you will need to construct the kind of emulated instance of Dynamics. So I'll do that, and it's called the context again. So var faked context equals new xrm faked context. Now that's kind of the regular one without plugin execution. And one thing that you can immediately notice is that wavy line at the bottom says deprecated. But what we can do to silence this issue is just click on the lightning bulb, suppress configure issues, suppress in source, and this as this pragma here, which is very, very ugly, but that's just the way to silence C# from reminding us that this is actually an obsolete class. But anyway, so, okay, that's one thing. The next thing that you want to do is tell this faked context where you have your early bounds, and you actually have them in the same project. And here's how to tell FakeXrmEasy where they are. So just open the parentheses and then do proxy types assembly, and then do assembly.getExecutingAssembly. And you might need to import system.reflection. So if you see the wavy line, you're probably missing this system.reflection using, but C# will probably, Visual Studio will probably do that for you. So that's all fine, and I can just close this faked context. Now, the brilliant thing about this faked context is now I can do two things. So first thing is I can add entities to my faked emulated dynamics. So I can do faked context.initialize. That's one method, and now I can provide it with a list of entities. So I can put in any entity that I want. I can put in contacts, accounts, cases, whatever you want, right in here within this list. So I'll just do new list, entity. Cannot type anymore today, and now I can just do it like that. And let's leave that just for a second. We'll need to add some context in here because we're testing the actual context, but let's leave that just for now. The second thing that's great about this faked context is that you can actually get the service out of it. So instead of using this faked organization service, I will do var service equals faked context dot get organization, not faked, but get organization service, that one. And this just returns our organization service. Ta-da! So that it was that easy. And yeah, now you're probably wondering why I didn't show you that in the first place, but I believe you learned a valuable lesson in the previous tutorial. So yeah, that's one thing. Now the next thing that you need to move is, so this is no longer necessary, but what is necessary is moving this data, this test data, into the context. So we actually need to fill dynamics with some data. And instead of this entity, I can do new contact again to use early bounds. And this account attribute is actually, I can also replace it with parent customer ID. And this also checks if this is an entity reference, which it is. And now I can do account. I can just pass in this account ref, and this is already good to go then. So that's contact, and you will see. Yeah, let's just move on, and we'll focus on the specifics later. So I can remove this part because I don't need it anymore, and that's all fine. So right now we're still working with the same target, so this can stay as it is, and I believe that's all fine. The only thing that I need to change is just add account ref.id, and I believe that's it. So not much has changed, but if you were doing that from scratch, you would need to prepare all these mocks and everything. So this should be much quicker in practice. Now let's try and run this test and see what it does. So if I just run it, it should actually crash, and it actually does. So let's see, the ID property must not be empty. So let's see where it crashes. I believe it crashes right here. So if I go to in here, maybe I did something a stupid mistake somewhere else, but I believe it should reach somewhere here. Sorry, of course I forgot something. So I cannot have two methods, two tests with the same name. So what I will do is I will just, instead of contacts associate test, I will do a contacts associate FakeXrmEasy tests, and now I can go ahead and click on debug here, and that should hopefully run my test. And now I can just click continue and see where it crashes. Okay, somewhere early. So let's try to debug that again. And let's go to next, see if that works. Okay, exception has been thrown. Okay, the ID property must not be empty. That's the exception that I'm getting. So no worries, we can fix that. But let me just close that and go back to my, yeah, there's a lot of files. So it looks like that we need to specify the ID property inside this fake context for it to work. So I'll just do ID equals new GUID, actually GUID.new GUID. That's what I want. So let's try that again. So go back to debug. Okay, let's try to run it. Okay, failed again. Let's try to debug this thing again. Go to the bottom. Initialize. Okay, that passed. Okay, let's see now. So action. No, this thing. Given key was not present in the dictionary. Let's see which key. So I believe it's referring to this target. So it looks like something did not run as expected. So we're expecting this target to have this account attribute, but it doesn't have this account attribute. And I can actually do dot parent customer ID, and that would be even better. And then this entity reference is actually not necessary. So, and this will probably be empty as well. And that's because we actually haven't, because the plugin doesn't work in a simple terms. So if I go and debug the plugin again, so go to here, debug, and now actually go inside the plugin. So action, continue, go inside this thing, and let's retrace it. So target, we get the target, that's all fine. Email attributes, that's all fine. So let's get the domain. We do get the domain, and now we have the query. And let's see if that works. So if we run the retrieve multiple, we get 0 results. Why is it like that? And the answer is the answer lies in these conditions. So we didn't actually specify email address, if I'm not mistaken, and we don't have the status code. We only, and I believe we don't have this parent customer ID either. Let's see. So parent customer ID, we do have that, but within this contact, we must also specify this status. State code equals contact state dot active, and that's the beauty of early bounds. And we also need to specify email address 1, and we can make that similar to this one, but just slightly different. So test blah 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 at domain.com. The domain must stay the same. And now hopefully everything will work. So I'll just try to debug the thing again. And now the account attribute is no longer needed, but let's wait with that. So target account, that's the ID is null, but I don't think that should cause any issues. I believe assert worked, and this is 0. This is 0. I believe there's the issue lies somewhere else, probably. The one thing that I did notice is that my target accounts references have this null or basically default IDs, and that's not something I want. And then I remembered, so I specified the ID of this contact this way, so by using this ID property, but I actually specified the ID of this account reference inline, so using this constructor, and it looks like that doesn't work. So I will just cut that out and just open this ID. So ID equals GUID.new GUID, and then just restart the debug. Let's see the debug. And let's see ID, so 62ACA, 62ACA, let's see if it passes, it does. So yeah, that was the final issue, and that's basically how to implement FakeXrmEasy for this simple case. I hope this was clear. I will be using FakeXrmEasy in more tests later on, but this was just a quick introduction, so I hope this was useful, and I hope you'll save some time with it. So I'm Laura, thank you very much for watching this video, and see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.